Understanding that the host museum gets to chair the meeting, so I guess I will voluntarily do that. I didn't print out, we don't have a printer or anything, so I didn't print a lot of the agendas. Hopefully people had their own, or we'll just go through it. It's kind of a short agenda anyway, and we can kind of cover that stuff. So I guess what we've traditionally done before is just start by going around the room and introducing ourselves and where we're from. And I'll just start with that. William Johnson from Frederic, in the Frederic Area Historical Society.
I'm Roxanne White from Frederic.
Roxanne from Frederic.
Tim Weiss from down at Clear Lake.
I have something for you.
Ron Kress from Clear Lake.
Devin Quinn, Apple River.
There's a museum in Apple River?
No, that's where
What museum are you from?
I said where we're from. Boston.
Yeah,
He's
Balsam Lake.
The Polk County Historical Society in Balsam Lake. Anyway, it's Devin, and he's kind of the go-to guy. I brought him because he's the one that knows what's going on. And, anyway, and Brenna, our leader, she couldn't be here today, so I'm Al Foxwell, I'm on the board. And I live in Amory, but I'm on the board for the Balsam Lake Museum.
May Olinger, Grantsburg Historical Society.
I'm Sina Christopherson from the Grantsburg Historical Society.
I'm Tammy Schutz from the Barron County Historical Society.
I'm Sarah Pica with Tammy's Barron County Historical Society.
I'm Cynthia Schrar with the Amory Historical Society.
Gary Haley, Amory Historical Society.
Diana Haley from the Amory Historical Society.
Catherine Burford from the Burnett County Historical Society. Maya can't be here, she's got a friend coming from Sweden.
I'm Sarah Belford-Domsky. I'm with the Inter-County Leader, the local paper.
And I'm Russ Hansen from the Cushing Museum, Sterling Eureka and Laketown Historical Society, who's very soon to have their 20th annual River Road Ramble.
Is it on the 27th?
The 27th.
How many years now?
20, yes.
Well, it's more than one day, isn't it, Russ?
Well, the garage sales typically are Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and those of us hardcore museum people are one day.
Okay. Grantsburg is open for that as well.
The Newmans from Bruce said to let everyone know that they could not make it.
And Dave from Skrupke and his wife from Turtle Lake had sent a message that said she's in Amory today having her second root canal right now.
Oh boy, where would you rather?
Where would you rather be?
Well, they're not as bad as they used to be, though.
Well, thanks to everybody for coming up to Frederic today, and we always like to show off our museum. Just a quick little history. This happens to be Frederic's 125th year anniversary coming up in 2026. And the reason we're here are logging and railroad, like we talked about before. And this railroad line went from Dresser to Superior, and the Sioux line referred to it as the sub-6 extension. And there's a book currently being written about it. And so there's a lot of railroad history going on. And I went through our guidebook or our sign-up book at the end of the guest book. And we had visitors from 15 states sign our guest book this summer. And that's, you take out Wisconsin and Minnesota, that's 13 from outside the area. And the big draw on that, of course, is the railroad thing. We have people taking pictures of railroad stuff, and the caboose outside gets used during the week just for outdoor pictures and stuff like that. So we were really lucky to hang on to it in Frederic. And kind of the history of that, when the subsection 6 was being abandoned, they were working on, the last depot they worked on was Frederic, as they were decommissioning the rest of them kind of from the ends toward the center. So Frederic was the last one still basically here. And somewhere along the line they offered it to the village of Frederic, and fortunately the village of Frederic accepted it. They applied for a federal transportation grant for about $100,000 that paid 80% of it. So the 20% of it was the village's responsibility, $20,000. And the Historical Society raised $15,000. So it cost the village of Frederic in 1995, $96, $5,000 to have a museum sitting there. Or a building, the refurbished building sitting here. Later, the Historical Society added the 1885 log cabin that came from down by St. Croix Falls. The little building outside was the old Frederic Library. It was a donation from a doctor and his wife back in the 30s when Frederic needed a library. So that got moved a couple times and ended up over here, so we've got that. The caboose was a later addition, but the relationship we have with the village is that we basically share costs of major renovations. We've been lucky enough to have a couple volunteers who do maintenance work on it every year. They've done painting on the outside. As you find with entities that have railroad stuff, railroad people show up and tell you everything that's wrong about it. What you're displaying. Yeah, and when they first got the caboose, they just cleaned out the inside of it and painted it white. Well, it turns out that's not the correct color for a Sioux line caboose. There's a postal green that's used for it. And so 2 years ago, one of our volunteers redid the whole interior. Now it's painted correctly. And the other one that stands out, the big semaphore signal that stands outside, when they decommissioned it, they sold the salvage rights on the exterior of the building, and the signal disappeared. The little decorative roof brackets all disappeared. So during the renovation project, those were all replicated. The signal that we have now is actually an Omaha signal, but that was the Omaha Railroad that came up through the southern part of the county, through Turtle Lake and up to Cumberland and all that stuff. So there was an Omaha Railroad close, but we have, every summer, several people tell us that that's not a Sioux line signal. So we'll admit it, we're sorry. But yeah, other than that, that's kind of the quick and clean history of how we ended up here. The original people, of course, that started the museum, the original Historical Society, they were all 70 years old 20 years ago. Yeah. So the people we have now are pretty much the second generation and have kind of taken it over. So the Balsam Lake Museum has been nice enough to give us that old penny farthing bike that's sitting outside, came from Polk County. That particular signal, which is a really old Sioux line train signal that sat outside, it turned sideways just to tell the engineer would know that to stop, basically. So that's just something that came from Balsam Lake. So we've had good input from other museums too. So,
And
do you have anything?
I do. We currently have some technology equipment that is currently on loan to Balsam Lake. Some old, very early computers, Apple computers, and printer, that type of thing. And we also were gifted a gigantic piece of equipment called an addressograph. And we were hard pressed to find a place for it. It sat here in the middle room for a long time, and that is currently on loan to Balsam Lake as well. And they have a nice little area that has office equipment of the past and that type of thing. And that was quite a unique piece. It would have been fun to work on that and maybe get that up and running and do something with it. But like many of you, there's often a space constraint that you have to work around. And so.
Do you have exhibits upstairs also?
Yeah, well, that was really a DPOH had lived, but we don't use it. We just use it for storage.
Okay.
Yeah, you'd have ADA issues if you wanted to have it open and stuff. But you know, in some of the Sioux line, the Milltown Depot and the Lewis Depot didn't have the second story on it, so they're basically about the same. One other thing we've had a real good result with are people who donate railroad equipment. And just as a quick demonstration, a person named Dwayne Franzen, who happened to be Dennis Franzen's brother, the banker Dennis Franzen. Dwayne Franzen in high school, worked here as a depot agent's helper. Later went on to work for the railroad and did the whole Morse code thing. So if I can sneak by and share a bit here. We have a display set up with a sounder and stuff like that. So usually when there's people around, we have our telegraph operator running in here.
No,
And we have no idea what he's saying.
oh, you can't say that in public.
Dwayne, we have that for kind of a demonstration, then we have a key hooked up where people can do their own, can try it themselves, and that's where we don't know what people are saying. But
And we've also reconfigured the one window in the bays so that when we have events, Dwayne was nice enough to gift us that setup, and it has a little speaker so we can set the speaker in the window so it'll broadcast outside when we have events.
So we have a volunteer that teaches the kids Morse
Oh.
code on ours.
Oh.
And then he has these little junior telegrapher cards that he gives them, like if,
Oh.
once they are able to do something on it, then he gives them this card so they're a member of the junior telegrapher.
That's
That
a
would be a
neat,
fun thing.
that's a neat idea, and that's where, we did a tour earlier this summer with some kids from St. Croix Falls, and there were a couple of them that knew Morse code.
There's an active Polk County ham radio club, and you could ask them to, I asked them to give me a luck to give us a historic display one time for a summer of, and they all know Morse code and that too.
they've changed the license requirement on that.
You don't
There's
need to
now
know
one
it
you don't
anymore,
need to know
no.
code for it, but the
Yeah.
older operators have a
We
real
had to- I had
disdain
to
for
learn
people that have
five-
the new one.
5 words per minute, then 12 to get the next license.
Oh my.
Yeah.
But, well, that's kind of quick and clean update if there aren't any questions. As far as housekeeping, there's still some food and snacks and coffee available out here. The 2 bathrooms are out in this building. They're both universal bathrooms, so feel free to use either one.
The other thing that I reached out to several years ago, they used to often have, I think most people love trains, I really love trains, I grew up next to the train track, so I always think that's interesting. There used to be a fellow, they would bring the superintendent of railroads on public radio about once every 6 months and interview him. He'd talk about accidents, railroad crossings, new things, that type of thing. I reached out to him and I was able to get, at that time, a current map of all of the rail system in the state, because we do have out here a 1904, 1914 railroad map of all the railroads in Wisconsin. So I thought it would be kind of fun to update that a little bit, and I'm gonna have to get a new one now, because I'm sure we've lost a few. Through that contact, I crossed paths with something called Operation Lifesaver, which for anyone who is close to, like in Barron, where you have train tracks and that type of thing, they have a whole assortment of items for young people. I have some temporary tattoos that I was able to get from them. I have little coloring books. I have these little engine erasers.
Who is it?
Operation Lifesaver.
They're always at the Minnesota State Fair with
Probably,
with things
yeah.
like that.
And the neatest thing, which I am out of at the moment, I was able to get these little paper engineer hats. You had to put them together, but they were just a little band thing that you could wear around your head. But the kids just absolutely loved them. You know, they it's.
And that's through what office? You were, the guy that was on the radio?
He was the superintendent of railroads for the state of Wisconsin. If you just Google Operation Lifesaver, you'll get a fellow that is like over in Green Bay now. She actually used to be in Ladysmith. That was the northern rep. But they can get you information, and like I said, especially where you and Baron have active train.
And we're on the track.
Yeah, and that would be something, you know, it's just like how to watch for a train, whatever, there's a lot in that area. So that's kind of one of the other things that we do, that's kind of an outreach thing for kids. And I think, you know, there's also, if you can find, one of my pet peeves, which is not really museum related, was I always see parents walking down the street with their children in strollers, and mom and dad are wearing sunglasses and the kids are going.
Kids aren't. Yeah.
So that's one of the things that's gonna be here next year, is little free sunglasses for kids. And I think people don't always think about that, but I think that helps too, if you reach out to the young people, that gets them interested. We have our lawn service for the summer. The one young man who mows happened to wander through here last weekend, and he said, I never knew this was here. And I'm thinking, you have mowed around it every week for the last 3 years?
We did that too.
So he said, oh, this is really cool. I'm gonna have to come back. Yeah, you will, Jack. So, yeah, in plain sight.
Okay, moving on down the agenda, one quick reminder, make sure you sign the guest book out by the door. You know, I do a report for the village board every year, which I said I would do in October next year, or the next month, so. Anyway, as far as approving our agenda, if there are no corrections to it and there's no objection, we'll consider that approved by unanimous consent, if that's all right.
Haven't seen it, but I'm sure it's fine.
So now remember, he was the chairman of the county board, so he knows how to rush stuff through.
My record county board meeting was an hour and 12 minutes.
Oh.
Instead of, sometimes they go for 6 hours. But okay, we have the minutes of the June 9th meeting, which were not recorded,
Has
but
everybody had it?
Maybe Russ has it,
came
maybe.
from back. But Russ had sent out that recording with them on, so again, if there's no objection from anybody in the audience, we'll assume the minute, or we'll approve the minutes, again by unanimous consent.
So one comment, we met at Clear Lake, and Tim and his group were the hosts, and it was really nice, okay? So I would comment that.
Okay, that would get us down to committee reports. Is there anything from the, obviously Brenna's not here, but did anybody have anything about the passport program? I know there was a new copy sent out reflecting the 250th anniversary of the USA and stuff, so.
Just recently.
It came as an attachment from
Which
Brenna.
she sent the reminder for this meeting.
Yeah,
So, you know, we haven't had a ton of people come, and especially the ones that have had their 6 in and it was time to collect. And then we had 2 in one day recently, and they were both going to all of them. They had ran into each other at one of the museums, and that's how they both ended up coming on the same day. They hadn't known each other prior to that, but they had both, so you probably either have seen them at your museums or will. They said there were a few they were really having a hard time getting to because of the very limited hours. But it was kind of interesting. And Chautauqua really put us all to shame. They gave, because they didn't know what their gift was, they gave him a t-shirt and a hat.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. Or was it a sweat? No, the one thing they said he couldn't get, he could pick anything from the gift shop except a sweatshirt. So he got the t-shirt and hat.
any other comments or questions on the passport program? I think that'll be kind of an evolving thing and see how it works out. I don't remember anybody stopping this summer here, but they have in the past. So. If not, we'll jump down to the old business section with the Northern Wisconsin Heritage Council. It's listed as Tammy having something about that on the agenda.
Well, I don't know that I have anything new. The only thing I've seen from them is, now I can't even think of it. she sent out something recently, but it was basically just encouraging us all to talk to our congressman, I think, if I remember correctly. I don't remember what the topic was, but otherwise I haven't heard anything from them in several months.
And then there was the note for the Wisconsin Historical Society and Council for Local History. Brenna was gonna have something about that. But her note was, there was nothing new to report,
So,
aside from going ahead with dissolving the WCA.
but it would be a good time to remind everybody about the State Historical Society Conference that's coming up in October, I think it's the 16th.
On Eau Claire, isn't it?
No,
Baraboo.
it's at Baraboo.
Mm-hmm.
Where? It's at Baraboo. It's always worth the time and the cost. It's October 16th and 17th. It's at the casino down there. So then there's tours of Circus World. And lots of good programs. I saw a ton of them every year, more than they could possibly get in that amount of time, so.
Well, that would get us down to new business, I guess, which is museum updates. So I guess if we just kinda wanna go around, and we'll start over here with Clear Lake since we're closest to them, and go around the room and just talk a little bit about how the summer went and stuff coming up.
I think we've had a good summer. We have had volunteers to keep weekly from Memorial Day to Labor Day. We are open on Friday and Saturday, and we've had adequate volunteers to make that happen. One of the things this year, kind of railroad connected. There was a wigwag signal in Clear Lake that we got when the tracks were pulled up.
What's a wigwag signal?
What is a wigwag? It's a signal at the road crossing. It just has an arm that goes back and forth like that with a light on it. So we got the original paperwork. I mean, when the village and the railroad were working on getting it, and then initially when they put it in and had it installed. But we had a local guy that volunteered to pay for getting it mostly restored. It needed painting and that kind of thing. We are looking for the right sort of resource to help us. We would like to. Our goal is to maybe have it turned on during our museum hours, or at least a part of that time. It's not something that's really flashy. It's not going to draw attention from a long ways away, but it's a local historical thing for us. So we need to get connected with somebody that either get it converted to do regular electricity, or put batteries in it again and make it go. Otherwise, it's been a good summer around. We're really, at 5 years ago or whatever, we had our catastrophe when the museum, we didn't even know how we were if we were gonna come out of it. And we're really, really pleased with how things look and how volunteers have stepped up, and we got a lot of, there's things to do, and I don't know if this is a place, we wanna learn how to label things more correctly or easily or something like that. So before you go, if you've got a way that we could, explain what that picture's about or something, that kind of thing, to just stick on the glass or on the wall or something to help identify many of them.
I just do little cards, like 4x4 cards.
Like a recipe card thing?
You can use that, or just you can get no cards.
Do you laminate them then?
We've also had a little bit of discussion about putting QR codes next to the items so that then people can, just scan that with their phone and they get,
That's a project down the line.
So now, to ask, how many of you actually use QR codes? Because our museum audience tends to be my age or so. And-
I follow QR codes.
Oh, yeah.
And
I do.
you sure can get more in-depth in what you can tell people.
Yeah, right.
It's, we do that on our posters,
Yeah.
but I don't think it's used very much,
No.
but I don't know.
So that's, I guess, mostly ours. Anything you wanna add, Ron?
No, not really. The week is the big thing that we would like getting it so it would actually work. It's out there, so if we can get it to work, that's we're trying to find some information how to get it to operate and stuff. So.
Was that a Sioux Line signal?
No, Northwestern.
Northwestern, yeah, I'm sure there's probably a historical society that they have that, somewhere I'm sure they could connect you to somebody that knows about restoring them or something like that. The Paulson brothers started the parade again with the cannon.
Yeah.
I was down and took a picture of them shooting it off, so that was pretty good.
Yeah, yep. They are.
They were talking about getting out of it. One brother wants to stay with, the other one doesn't want to. And now they've got one of the sons, I think, is getting interested again in it.
Oh,
So
good.
it sounds like they may continue for a while, yeah.
Good. Well, that's one of those unusual things that very few people know about. You know, and you tell them about it, they don't hardly believe you till you show them the pictures.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we met Bernie and Bruce 25 years ago. I think we had a historic or a Polk County Tourism Council meeting at their shop.
Okay.
And I thought they were 80 years old 20 years ago. Not true, they're still out there doing it. So
What
that
did
was,
they do?
pardon me? They have a cannon they collect and build replicas of Civil War ordnance things, caissons and maybe you might.
They will have the actual Civil War cannon,
The barrel.
the barrel,
they make
and they
replicas
make
of
the carriage
Yeah.
to exact specifications. They have the blueprints, and I mean, there's not a thing about it that's not authentic down to the size of everything on it, and they know their Civil War like nobody probably else in the country.
Is that the Paulson brothers?
The Paulson brothers, they're the ones that started what the business is Oxbow International. By as high school kids in Clayton, they came up with a bean picker, and that became what's now Oxbow International. And unfortunately for us in Clear Lake, I think we talked about it, I think 3 months ago, they're all leaving Clear Lake for New York, and it's just a skeleton of what it once was. But they're amazing twins, and
Do they have a display somewhere?
at their place.
They
And
they opened it up this year an hour before the Clear Lake Parade.
Oh, at
It's
their.
open. Yeah, the shop is open and some of their equipment. They have a line of cannons sitting out in front of it, stuff like that. But they open it up occasionally like that, I guess. But
So they're moving the company to New York?
Oxbow
They are.
International is
Yeah.
so they started Pixall, or Paulson Brothers Pickers is what they started, and then that turned into Pixall Corporation, and then Pixall was merged into with I think Chisholm Ryder out of New York and became Oxbow International. And so then the company Oxbow International, headquartered out of New York, said we're closing up the Clear Lake facility and moving all that production to New York, and so our people got the shaft.
And it would have been back in the 50s, I would imagine, when they developed some of that stuff, when they were just out of high school.
Yeah, they even started it while they were in high school.
Yeah, and they came up to Frederic, to Stokely's, and tried out some of their equipment and demonstrated things and tried different R&D on stuff. And so they'd been up to Frederic before and various bean picking aspects like that. They're just interesting people.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Do they build these things with modern equipment or old-time equipment?
No,
Cannons?
yeah.
Yeah.
The carriages, it's pretty much all modern equipment they
It
use.
is?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a National Park Society that gets a hold of it. They want a new carriage built. Even some of the stuff now that they build these carriages with isn't the real wood. It's aluminum or something that doesn't break down,
Oh,
but it looks like wood,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
so they're getting more modern with it too. But if it's for the National Historic Society and they want it original, they'll sit down and build it from bottom up, all original.
Yeah, with the wood spokes and wood rim and
Yeah.
metal around it. I mean, everything about it is authentic down to the T. If you want it that way, they can do it.
Any questions for Clear Lake? Do you have any updates from Balsam Lake then? Alan and Delvin?
Well, we just had the Moonlighters Ball, which was at our facility, and it was kind of a deal where we had a band, and they were playing like old-fashioned music, and then we had, for $20, you could pay to have one of your friends arrested, and they could be put in the jail, and I was down in the jail, and I usually had not much trouble sweet-talking people into paying their bail bond to get out of there. And we thought maybe they'd be in there calling all kinds of friends, and each friend would put in $300. It wasn't quite that lucrative, but we learned a few things, and we had a good time. And we had a costume contest where some people got these, dresses and things out of the Prohibition era, and when moonshine was real popular, and then they would pay so many dollars to enter the contest, and then whoever the winning couple was would share the proceeds with the museum. So I think Brenna said that much as we all tried our best and we had good participation, they were still playing music at 9 o'clock at night outside the front door, and people, the sheriff was there helping with the arresting and so forth, and so it worked out well, but I don't think we got particularly rich on the project. But we thought maybe another year. I think what started, Brenna had this idea, and then several of the restaurant people in Balsam Lake decided, well, if there's going to be people in town, they're going to too. And so there were all kinds of events going on, and some of the streets were blocked off, and we weren't the only live music in town. So anyway, we had competition, but we thought next year we'd know kind of what we're getting into a little more, and we'll try to make it so that the $20 to have somebody arrested isn't that much. And some people said, I know I'm going to get arrested, and I was down in the jail and I did not see them come through. So somebody slipped up. Matter of fact, I was the first one that got arrested, so anyway, I had to pay my way out of that.
I was gonna ask you how long you had to sit in jail before somebody bailed you out, Alan.
Yeah, right. Well, anyway, I happened to have some cash, so I was... anyway, so we've been having that going on, and as far as how many people we have coming in, we keep a log every day of how many children and how many adults and so forth, and we haven't had quite as many. I think maybe before COVID we had more travelers than we do now. We still always have a few people come in that are from way out of town, and we did make a room for the lake people because there's so many of them. And then we also have a room now dedicated just to the history of Balsam Lake, and a lot of old pictures of that. And of course, I think the biggest change, if you were familiar with our building where we used to have the school superintendent, that one we've changed, and that has, like Russ is talking about, technology. And so Brenna has a kind of a whole array of technology, and I didn't think too much of that idea at the time because I like these pictures of visitors, as you can see, these little towns and their history. But I find that, I taught school for 35 years, and I find out that kids, when they come in there and they see even the kind of dial-up phones that we all grew up with, kids,
Oh, yeah.
they really go for that stuff, And so somebody in one of these meetings was telling one time about how they had 2 phones set up in a room where they could call each other.
With 4.
And that was a good idea, and I think that's kind of in our long-range plan to do something so kids can actually talk on a phone.
But then they don't wanna do anything else, they just wanna sit and call each other.
Well, that's the drawback.
And the adults it's getting to where the adults that are with them don't know how to do it either, so that's
So anyway, we've been trying to empty out an overly full building, and but then now I said to Brenna the other day, do you want more donations? Because Carol Radisky and I used to go around and look at things and bring things in, And Brenna said, well, it seems like it's kind of counterproductive, we're getting rid of things. But I said, the thing is, history marches on. And where we look at something like, look at that technology room and you see a television, like, remember when we get a color television? That was a big deal.
Yes, with a round screen,
Yeah.
about 12 inches round.
We've got some of those old things in there, and it doesn't seem that old to some of us, but you know, it is. And so life goes on, and we can't just give up on collecting things. So, anyway, that's all I,
If you
Brenda
find
had a
anything
time
for
for.
Amory, let us know.
Yeah, there we go.
Mhm.
And I was, we sent something down to you, and I came in and I found, I got the Devon's straps for tying things down.
Oh, yeah.
When we brought things to Amory. so.
Yeah.
But when you came up to get something, that was
We
what it
got
was.
that bell from you. That was,
That bell was,
Yeah.
somebody
Teacher's
said that was from the normal school.
The teacher's college, yeah.
And Steve Sylvester and I were moving at one time, and that's why the yoke that the bell hung,
Yeah.
we must have tripped over it or
Well,
something.
it's probably better that it's on the floor.
Yeah. Anyway, so anyway, that's just a little bit of what I've been doing.
Any questions for Polk County Museum?
I have a comment. We, the county, Brenna, helped take over the schoolhouse on the fairgrounds this year. We're trying to offload that from the Cushing Group back to the county, and I think we got about halfway this year, so that was kind of nice. The county really owns that, I mean the Historical Society owns that building, and over several years with many different directors and it ended up being the Fair Society with my wife and I and my son sort of taking it over for a while, but for the History Societies, but we're now thinking it belongs back where the county should have it. And so we had 1,900 folks come through, so those of you who put an exhibit in there can claim 1,900 people saw your stuff, and probably a third of those are under 12 years old.
Did you have a chance to print out the rural schools around Amory that I sent you? Because I know I can make a display, but I just didn't have time.
Did I print? Oh, you're the one that you sent.
PowerPoint.
Yeah, it's on my to-do list.
Is
there.
it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a question, Ellen. Do you, I know you guys have a lot of temporary exhibits. Do you have a large percentage of exhibits that you change on a regular basis?
Well, that was the thing. For some people used to come in and say, well, nothing ever changes here. And so we have been, Brenda's been able to be a little more active and move some things into different spots, which I think, like we had in the courtroom. The courtroom is our biggest place to have a meeting like this. And so we've used that a lot, and we had a display in there that had wedding dresses. Well, then we looked in the case, and the wedding dresses are literally falling off the mannequins. And mannequins are always a problem anyway, because people, not just the kids, but adults get scared of them too. So I don't know why that is. But anyway, we sold some of those, like the wedding dresses that are falling apart. That's no reason to have those. And so we've come up with some new ideas for some of those spaces.
So you're in the market for a bunch of wedding dresses, right?
No, I think
Those are very easy to come by in museums.
Devin had helped a lot with, some of the clothing things that were just up there in the courtroom behind there was the judge's quarters, and there were extra restrooms and so forth, and the things were stacked according to the 10, 12 foot tall ceiling in there.
So is it that you still have permanent exhibits, you're just changing them more frequently? Or I know you've had temporary exhibits, like the Star Wars.
Oh yeah, no, we don't
One
have
up
too
there
many
now.
of those. That Star Wars thing, that was a really, that cost us, I think, $1,000, but people would walk in and say, where's the Star Wars? And
Yeah.
really go for that.
But your other ones are just changing more frequently.
They're changing more frequently than they did, yes, but no, we're not out to change everything every year, you know. I think we all suffer that, you know, kind of like, well, this looks good, let's leave it, but, you know, on the other hand,
Well, it all takes time and energy.
Yeah, volunteers to help.
well, that has, we've had pretty good helpers there, and that's why I brought Devin, so he knows all his efforts are not in vain. He's,
I'm the only one with a full-size truck, so I get all the time come. Like, I'm gonna be hauling.
yeah. One thing we had, for example, in the basement there, was we had a display for making honey. And it was a great big huge drum, you know, maybe 8 feet, you know, tall, and so the people from the honey club over in St. Croix Falls, we contacted them, we took it apart, they came down and carried it up the stairs and moved it away, and it's gone. So, great use, now they can
Really?
have it in the display.
Somebody just asked us if we want something like that. And so maybe that's not the way to go, maybe we shouldn't be saying yes to that, that should be a no.
Oh, no, I think it was, we had a lot of equipment, but we turned that room into a moonshine room.
Which somebody gave us equipment for that too.
Well,
bring them in.
yeah, right. Anyway, we
Interesting.
never know. That's why I, when somebody calls up and says, so-and-so died and they've got a whole machine shed full of things, you know,
Yeah.
I love to go look at that stuff.
Yeah,
You
you
don't
never
need
know what
most
you
of
might
it, but-
find, yeah.
Got a lot of it.
Yeah. Yeah, we went one time clear over by Cumberland, and I think they would have emptied out the entire machine shed if our truck would have held it.
The county museum has also been having pretty near every month a speaker come in and talk about something. And next Tuesday at 2 p.m. there's a guy coming in talking about Cushing's most famous person, Doc Squirt or Roy Henning. That'd be an excellent talk, I've heard.
And I think you might know quite a bit about that.
I'm the guy that's talking. So.
Yeah, that's what I can remember. And I'm sorry I didn't bring that up earlier.
Well, there's been a monthly talk for I think most of the year, isn't there?
I think we missed 1 month, but that kind of a speaker series we call it, and it's interesting because we had Fran Duncanson from Amory. Fran came up and gave a little spiel about a family connection that was up more by Rice Lake and Barron, and my gosh, that courtroom was almost packed.
Who was that?
Fran Duncanson, she talked about this family. It was a big house that was out in the country there, and she
Pearly.
was, yeah, that was what it was, and she did a good. I mean, it wasn't Fran talking. It was this person that was a relative of some. But I found it very interesting.
If you're interested, it's on the Polk County Museum's YouTube channel as one of their videos, because I videoed it for them.
Terry's family's buried at the Pearly Cemetery.
What was the family's name?
What was the family's name?
I think it would be say early.
No, that's Pearly is the
Pearly,
town. Was that their
That was the
name
name,
too?
I think, wasn't
I
it?
think it was.
Oh, okay, it was named after that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've had times when there've been real small crowds, but generally speaking, it's been a pretty respectable crowd. It's just that, how many of you are open in the winter?
Kinda, sorta.
Okay.
Only by appointment.
Yeah, well, we just brought that up, like, we don't know what to do about that. We didn't used to be open in the winter, and
We'll do it by appointment, and we need time to do some, repairs and cleaning and
yeah.
set up and that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
December, January, February, we're closed. No, January, February, March. We're closed.
So our group is only open Mondays 10 to 2 year-round, and I'm usually one of the volunteers there, and usually that's our time when we're working on things too, but by having that been going on for 3 years now, we generally get like maybe, I think we had 10 yesterday
Oh.
dropped in, dropped in, including a guy from North Carolina, but by always being open one day a week, that has really made a difference on ours, not only on us, our own volunteer group doing stuff, but people knowing they can come in on Mondays unless it's a snowstorm or something. And so I think that's even 1 4-hour period a week is worth doing.
So we can't have our buildings open because of no heat, but we do programming because we have the cultural arts building.
Okay.
See, and then up at Burnett County,
Yeah,
they're open, what, every Wednesday
every single Wednesday, 10 to 3.
in their research area, which is a really fun place to stop
Yeah.
in.
It is,
And what town is that?
is it, well,
It's a
Danbury,
So Fort Falls,
Fort Falls.
that would be a good place to have a meeting sometime if we weren't always up in this corner of the world.
Yeah, we have heat all winter.
Yes,
We've had a meeting there.
Yeah.
oh, did we? Yeah, I guess I can't
Actually,
remember.
Yeah, we did meet at Fort.
Okay.
No, it wasn't that
Last
long
winter,
ago. It was
right?
last winter or spring.
Yeah.
It was-
Spring, maybe.
Yeah, where they had, yeah.
It must be nice to have a memory.
Anything else for Polk County? If not, let's jump up to the county to the north and do Burnett County. Any updates from there?
A few of us.
Okay. May, you wanna start or you wanna?
Well, Gransburg had a good year. We tried a new thing this year, for part of our Big Gust, celebration. And like yours, it was jail and bail. Had a good time with that and it, turned out to be nicely profitable.
Yeah, it was profitable.
Oh, I read about yours in the paper.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
It went good. We had a big gust that,
we had a very small Big Gust, but
what do you do?
yeah. With the judge and everything, and the village very kindly offered their sirened car to haul them up to the jail and everything. But the silliest thing about that was when we went to open it that morning, the jail, we couldn't find the key. So we ended up breaking into the jail. But yeah, it's been a pretty good year. We do miss, since COVID, our 3rd graders, they used to come as part of a tour around town. But the school does use our little one-room school every spring, so that's nice. Our current display is on communication and toys. And like you said, the communication is fun with the phones, and we've got the original switchboard, Gransburg's first original switchboard.
Does it work?
I
No,
think-
it's just the innards are taken out of it, but you can still pull the plugs and do that, but the actual innards are gone, and it's only half of the switchboard.
They sure have
Yeah.
trouble understanding what
Yeah,
what
they,
an operator is.
yeah, they don't know, they can't picture that at all, so.
And let's see, there was something else. Oh, we are open Sundays from Memorial Day to Labor Day for 4 hours in the afternoon, but every Monday afternoon our history room is open, and that's at the library, so it's heated and everything. But anything else?
I've got one thing to add. Our one display is the communications, and we were given a Zenith round screen TV. And if anyone can use it, it was given to us, and we will pass it on to
How
anyone.
physically, how big is it?
It's no, it's a, what do you call it? A console.
Console, oh.
Yeah, it's a console. We think it was maybe the first TV in Fallen.
Oh.
And I can remember, I lived across the road, and I can remember going across and watching the TV there. So we didn't have TV, but we do have that we don't have room to store it.
So
And
it sounds like an obsolete media lab type equipment.
yes,
doesn't
yes,
it?
it is, yeah. But if anyone
It
is,
works, it works, right?
it just might.
Yeah, you plug those old things in and you.
You know, if anyone knows, I wouldn't say that it doesn't work.
No.
If we took it out of the
You
original
can use
home.
the old, it worked the last time it was
It was
used.
used.
Right,
Yes.
yes, yes, but we took it out of the original home
Mhm.
and it was given to me, but we are willing to pass it on to anyone that can use it, so if there's anyone that's interested, let me know. So,
That sounds like it might fit into that county. You have an old TV there, huh?
We do, and
Oh.
we have one that we were kind of giving it the test to see if it
Oh,
worked, you know. And
okay.
so if, our theory is if smoke starts coming out of it.
Which we did.
Yeah.
okay, yes, and like I say,
So-
I did not plug it in,
If-
but,
If you guys have
it is
old
that.
radios or TVs or things that need fixing, sort of a distant cousin of mine, John Schwartz from the Centuria area, is all into old radios and tubes and everything, and he likes to restore those things. And
Are you interested in the TV itself?
well, I was going to say I never turn down anything that's old technology.
Oh, okay, well, after, the River Ramble,
Sure.
let us know. if
Well, you
you're
have to
interested.
remind me. I wouldn't
Oh,
ever remember.
okay. Okay, so anyway, that's what I had to add.
Yeah, we're in the middle of updating our bylaws and stuff too. That is a job.
So now there's a question. Several meetings ago, we were talking about the microfilm scanner that you guys have up there. Is there any progress on?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
it's a very slow progress,
Very,
but
very
it's ongoing.
So you are scanning your old newspaper,
Right.
and you have to do it a frame at a time instead of automatically.
Well, I think that's pretty much the problem,
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
why it's so slow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because you can't just put the reel in and it does it. You
No.
have to, each frame.
no, page.
It does do that if you put the reel in and set it to automatic, but I believe what you said was it didn't do it didn't do it
Didn't do it right.
didn't accurately didn't
No.
line
No.
up pictures and everything. So
Yeah.
Well, the
Instead of
reels
being-
itself aren't 100%. You know, they're all different.
Sure.
So you have to,
it needs more intelligence. The
yeah,
machine
it's
does,
a lot,
doesn't it?
yeah. Yeah. Or the person that did the reels in the first place maybe needed
Yeah,
more
well,
intelligence. I
that's
don't
too
know,
late, I
but-
suppose. Yeah.
Yeah, so, but it's an ongoing
Mhm.
thing. I
Good.
think yesterday she said she's on her 7th or 8th reel,
Yeah.
so it's, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know how many there are, but it's coming.
So, is there a chance of sometime coming up and watch her doing it to see
Oh,
what it
sure,
looks
we're
like?
there on Mondays. She's
Oh,
there
Mondays.
most
Okay.
Mondays, yeah,
What time on Mondays?
from 1 to 4. She's
Oh, okay.
there.
So I
Or-
could come up after my 10 to 2 at
Yeah,
Cushing.
yeah.
And this is at your library then?
It's right at the Grantsburg Library, yeah. Yeah. You might wanna call ahead just to make
Sure,
sure she's
sure,
going to
yeah,
be there,
yeah.
unless she can't make it for something, but
Okay.
I'm sure you could come in.
Well, I'm just curious about
Yeah,
how it works.
yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, so, but we're there on Mondays.
Anything else from Grantsburg?
Nothing I
The
know
fort.
right now.
See, they're getting ready to be on the 20th annual River Road Ramble.
Yes,
Yes.
we will be open. That's our last opening, the 27th.
So I can talk about Historical Society at the Fort. We did start working on the QR codes, just getting the written material ready. Especially for just for a few things. We haven't actually implemented, but it's one of our projects that we're working on. Well, working on a new website, and they've been toying with changing our logo, and that's an ongoing discussion. We have received some donations to begin thinking about building a new research library,
A new building?
and building.
Ooh.
That's probably way out there. But we are working on that.
You guys have a lot of stuff in a little space.
We have a lot of stuff in a little space. And you can't think when you've got visitors working on something actively. And I do a lot of the scanning or with the photographs and stuff. And drives me crazy. But anyway, and then Russ got us into, what is where did he go?
You want to coffee?
We're imaging our,
Drinking again.
I think we've done all of the imaging of our scrapbooks, and it's up in the cloud, and you can, you can research or you can scan the files with, it's an optical character recognition, so if you wanna look up a name, you can stick it in there, and it'll locate the person's name on what page it's on in the scrapbook. And we have done a few small books too, that I thought it would be really handy to have those scanned as well. So it's in the Google Cloud. And then we're still ongoing scanning our photos to digitize those. We had our annual meeting last week. We are on our third, I would say, president of the board right now. One person retired and one person moved to Iowa. And then our treasurer's doing the president's job right now until they find somebody new. School days are next week, start next week. We have school days in the spring and the fall. And they bring in busloads of children from various school districts. And they have tours, they have to go off in little groups and tour all the buildings and the sites. And it's really successful for us. We're beginning our planning for Christmas at the Forts, which is our biggest fundraiser for the year. We had 2 rendezvous this summer and they were very successful. We worked with a fellow on getting information on Killcare Lodge, which was on Birch Lake. He has a presentation that he does, and we got him some photos for that. And Sue Siegelstrom, of course, comes and works at our research library. We have visitors walk in almost every single day. And some people come back, or they ask us to research something, and we mail the information back to them. What else? We're continuously adding to our resort map. I don't know if anybody's seen that, but we have a resort map of all the resorts that were in Burnett County, as many as we could find. And people are starting to bring in photos and stuff so that we can add to those files. And our work week this fall is the first week of October. And somebody donated a brand new anvil for the blacksmith shop, which everybody's real excited about. Someone built a new fur press for the native site, or the fort site. And then they're working on building a new wigwam with help of some of the local people from the tribe. That's about it. So we were busy this year.
Good report.
Yeah.
Any questions for Burnett County or Forts?
Yeah,
If not, wait.
I was gonna say, we are open Wednesday to Sunday all summer until Labor Day. And then we have pancake breakfast, wild rice pancake breakfast every weekend, starting Memorial Day. And those are very successful, except for on a really hot day. Nobody wanted to be outside.
Did you say every weekend, or I thought it was just certain weekends?
What's that?
The pancake breakfast?
It's once a month,
Once a
starting, I think it's the last Sunday of the month, maybe. Starts on Memorial Day and ends on Labor Day, so I think there's like 4 or 5 of them.
Very good.
Yeah.
And they added wild blueberries this year, blueberries to the pancake mix, which was very popular.
Okay, well, we'll jump way over to the east side of things and see what Tammy and Sarah have going on over there.
Okay, we had a busy summer, but it wasn't what we were hoping for because we had a lot of bad weather and primarily an outdoor museum. I mean, like car shows in the rain don't go over really well. So we did have some bad luck that way. This weekend was really cold. It was our Bluegrass Festival, so that didn't go as well as we had hoped either. But on the bright side, we're moving along on our new welcome center. We have the state approved plans, the well permit, or we have a well somebody contracted to put in a new well, we got the driveway, permit, the address, all the things. And we're hoping to maybe pour concrete and do the plumbing this fall. That way, if we get the rest of the money, we can start construction this winter, otherwise it'll be in the spring. And, I've still been doing the folk school with a speaker series a couple times a month. And, the Wisconsin Tourism I had asked them for some help with promoting the museum. So they asked us to track our visitors for the summer. And the first week we did it, the first part of June, we had visitors from 14 states and 4 countries. So I'm kind of surprised. I mean, we knew we had visitors from all over because we informally ask all the time, but to actually have it written out was kind of the first week we had England, Bali, Dominican Republic, Cuba. So it was like, wow, they really are coming from all over.
Cool.
So part of that is that I'm anticipating that it would be in our best interest to have a name change. And I thought it would be a good time, right with the new building, when we open the new building, if we're gonna change the name, do it then. Because we do have the Pioneer Village, but we're also actively building an Ojibwa village, or we're not doing the building, but we are facilitating building the village. Some people from primarily the St. Croix, but also somebody from Bad Rivers, and with some input from people at LCO on building this village. And we have our Native American historical event on the 27th of this month, Fighting with the River Road Ramble. So we're hoping for a good turnout for that. And we have
had 6 day camps.
6 day camps. We had a new one, we had a Civil War one, which went really well.
Yeah,
Sarah
it was great.
did that. And we have some school field trips this fall. We have a homeschool day on the 30th of this month. And I don't know, getting ready for Christmas events.
Yeah, I think the big thing is gonna be the building, getting that building going and doing that, that's awesome. One of the things I remember that was brought up at a prior meeting was the wish for a list of possible presenters. And I think we should continue to maybe explore that. I do have a couple of people, if you're interested, who have come to our folk school and presented. But also I was introduced to a reenactor from Eau Claire, and he came and did one of our days of our Civil War Day camp. And I don't remember their name, they're the Badge or something. And he is pretty authentic, and it's like a hands-on show and tell. And he let the students fire his musket, and we did hardtack. I mean, we had a camp and everything, and it's volunteer. And so if you're interested, we can email you his contact information, and he's gonna come back and do a folk school presentation for our volunteers, which is pretty cool. And this time he's gonna bring one of his colleagues. There's a group of them, and they travel around the state, but they've also been to like Gettysburg and some of the big ones. And he's gonna bring a colleague who does artillery, because he does infantry. And he said, so what, but you know, he's all excited, but that's cool. And then we have an author who lives in Eau Claire, but he teaches at Rice Lake and used to teach at Menominee. He wrote a book, and he came and presented at our folk school, and he was excellent, and he did it for free as well. So if we could just start compiling a list of possible speakers and then get it out to everybody, I think that would be a helpful thing.
My business card, I would like to work on that with you.
Oh, great, okay. Okay, so, and then those of you from the Ladysmith area, you might know Brent Wittenberger. He was in a reality show up in Alaska where he built 2 cabins, and he came and spoke at our thing, and it was
Life
really
on
good.
the Edge, if you've watched that show, Life on the Edge.
Yeah, up in Alaska, and that was pretty cool, and he did that for free also. So we'll Yeah, we'll get that out to you.
So we need some, not Civil War, but Revolutionary War reenactors for this coming year, don't we?
Good luck finding those.
Yeah.
They're very difficult, especially
Well,
in
I
this
think
area.
maybe that
Yeah.
we could convince some people that they could stray from the Civil War and try Revolutionary War.
Well, I've started composing some America 250 things. I did some things for the schools last spring for, Paul Revere's Ride in the Two Lights thing. And we did dress up. I do have colonial. I will dress up. Our other museum educator, I made him dress up as Paul Revere. So we do have some of the clothing and some of that stuff.
Sarah's actually certified in, what is that certificate you have?
It's a master teacher of the American Revolutionary era.
Cool.
From the Society of Cincinnati. It's my gig. It's my gig. So I'm trying to put some stuff together because of the Declaration of Independence and going into schools, and we can do that. When we went into the schools last spring, we worked with fourth graders, and they made tricorn hats. They made Paul Revere's lantern. Myself and another guy, we were dressed up and we read from Paul Revere's Ride and talked about the whole thing. And then we're going to kind of do something similar with the Declaration of Independence.
So to make this more than just men, Betsy Ross is one of the women associated with the revolution, right?
Yeah.
So you need to figure out some more to make this more balanced. Some more women.
I'm going to be Mercy Otis Warren, who is considered the first woman historian. She wrote a history of the American Revolution during the Revolution. She was a revolutionary. So I'm going to be her when I go into the school.
Mercy, what?
Mercy Otis, O-T-I-S, Warren. Mercy Otis Warren. And if you go into Amazon and order her book, it's like a three-parter. And she was writing as the revolution was going on. Her father made sure she was educated, and she was definitely a patriot and spoke out against it. She held meetings in her home. Her brother, James Otis, was a big revolutionary. So yeah, she's pretty clutch. There's a lot of women who are pretty important. We have a local author who did a book on spies, couriers, and what is it?
Saboteurs.
And saboteurs, and it's all revolutionary women. And I think there's 12 of them in her book.
And she would come and speak to.
Yeah.
So also some of the things like the Declaration of Independence, if a person had a genuine quill that you could have people practice signing their John Hancock, you could this is for the
We could write our own.
flash session here.
Well, that's what I want to do in the school. I'm going to give them all a parchment paper, and with their teachers ahead of time, I'm going to have them identify what life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness means to them individually. And then they're going to get a quill pen and ink, and then they're going to write on the top my declaration of what life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness means to me. And then they're going to roll it up, and then they're going to tie a ribbon around it. That's one of the ideas I have. I mean, I have several ideas in my head. I taught high school history for 30 years. So yeah, this is my gig.
But you're doing this in fourth grade, is that specifically?
Well, it depends. These are all still,
Okay.
I haven't communicated with the teachers yet. We did Wisconsin History All-Stars with 5th and 6th graders last year, where they made like a trading card, and it was a Wisconsin person. So like, for example, Bob Uecker was one of them. So they had a picture of Bob Uecker on the front, like a baseball card on the back. It had his facts, and then they're hanging in our school, our one-room schoolhouse right now. We had about 50 of them done. What I would like to do for America 250 is they're going to each have a signer of the Declaration this time. So they'll have an image of the person on one side, facts on the other side, and then they'll display it in the school. But these are all ideas in my head. Nothing is written down or organized yet. But I'm more than willing to share anything that is produced. I'm excited for it because, yeah, it's good stuff. How did we even get on this topic? Where do we need to go back? Do we need to go back to something?
I think we covered it all.
Yeah.
Well, I can't talk, I had allergies, so you're stuck with something.
So I get to, she does this to me every time.
That's right.
I'm not stuck with you, you're privileged,
That's right, you really
So,
are. You really are.
we have a lot of things going on at the Amory Historical Society. We are now an official Family Search affiliate research library for genealogy. Either Diana or I staffs that so that when volunteers come in wanting to do genealogy, we are there to help. Our hours for that are every Saturday from 10 to 2. But as a whole, the museum is open on Saturday. No, wait a minute, let me backtrack. The genealogy help is 10 to noon. The museum is also on Saturdays from 10 to 2. But what this does is it allows genealogy researchers to access thousands of records if they're physically on our site that they cannot access from home. So we did that to draw people in. Some one-time events that we had, we're planning a cemetery tour for October. We did that last year. It was extremely popular with the public.
25 visitors in the rain.
And so now we're looking at doing it again, but with a different local cemetery. We're working really hard to pay off our mortgage, and it's looking like we're gonna get there by the end of the year. But one of the things that we did towards that end is we sponsored our first ever golf tournament. Learned a lot from it, but we'll do it again.
You would do it again?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, can I have a question? When you did the cemetery tour,
Yeah.
did you put everybody like on a bus and then you took them there, or y'all just met at the cemetery?
Walk through.
And had a guide and
Walk through.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's right in the center of town.
What I'd like to see come of that is, because it was so popular, and also because Halloween is on a Friday, see if we can do like an adult costume ball or something in the evening. But the cemetery tour is high on the list because it was so popular last year.
So, excuse me, did they point out famous Amory?
Famous Amory residents, and
Okay.
you know, the person who was supposedly the first person buried there, and some of the history of these people. The golf tournament, when we did that, brought in about
$8,500.
$8,500.
About 5,000 after
And
expenses.
it was a ton of work, but now that all of that foundation is in place, it makes sense to do it again.
Now, your cemetery tour, did you charge for that?
No,
It was just,
it was just free.
Free to the community.
okay, and so what, you
We'll
didn't
take
give
free
them?
will donations.
Did you take free will?
Yeah.
donate? Okay.
So how many people did you, in your cemetery, did you talk about or focus on?
5 or 6, wasn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't
Wasn't
like
big.
everybody in there. It was maybe half a dozen. But gave the history of that person, and
Okay, cool.
Who did the tour?
our program and events coordinator, who is also the director of our library. So,
Well, how did you handle it so people could hear you?
Oh, it was a close, they were all closed because it was raining, so we're all huddled up.
and we were close together, you know,
Yeah.
and so it just, that wasn't an issue. And, you know, it might have gotten tedious if it was 24 people, but
Right.
because it was a limited number of graves. The other fundraiser that we have planned is we're bringing in a band that plays old time music, and they will present a Christmas concert for us. And that was something that Amory did years ago, and then it kind of disappeared, and we're going to bring that back.
Where are you gonna have that, in your building?
Hold it at the high school auditorium. So our cost is paying the band, which we will recoup in tickets sold. And then the only other cost is paying the high school janitor for his time.
Because someone has to be on site.
Someone has to be on site. So, the other couple things that we've got several new photo displays, and Diana's been instrumental in that. We did one of the local churches. And
Rural school was first.
the old schools, and now we're working on one of the early communities. And so mostly it's a photograph, and it gives the dates and maybe 1 or 2 sentences, but they're very nicely done wall
Yeah,
displays.
People go to those before they go anywhere else.
Right.
We have a school display on a flipboard that
Nice.
we've had there forever, and people are really interested in
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And that lists the teachers that
Yeah.
taught
Yeah.
at those schools, and that's very popular.
So the other 2 big things we've got working on, we are working on putting together another book that is the early settlers of Amory.
In
And
the surrounding areas.
the surrounding area, we've got 80 names in that book. So some of it goes down to New Richmond, some of it's Clayton, you know, it's not just Amory. But what we're trying to do through it is tell the history of the period through the lives of the individuals in this book. So, you know, when we get to Sam Harriman, and, you know, that's a main street in Amory, and he was a Civil War general, we talk about what it was like, you know, for Amory residents during the Civil War, and that this is why the street is named after him, and things like that. So that's my part of it, is to research all the documents that we have and the census records and all of that, and put together those narratives. And then Diana is working on putting together a 5-generation family tree
For each of them.
for each of them. And if we've got pictures, we include them, some of them we don't. But this started as a project because the Amory newspaper, just to get readership, started a thing. They ran it for 29 weeks. On the front page of their paper, they would interview a pioneer. And these were all people born between 1820 and 1860. And they would just give a short paragraph on this person, and then Diana and I kind of saw the potential to expand on that.
We
So-
do have a book right now with those 29 people and a 5-generation genealogy in the book.
So the people that we chose beyond those original 29 that were in the newspaper, either they had a significant contribution to the development of the town, you know, maybe they owned the biggest lumber mill in town or something like that, or they had a profession that we really don't see anymore. And so, you know, we're just telling the stories of the history of the town through these individuals. And then, kind of related to that, I go on WPCA radio, which is the community radio station in Amory, and I go on twice a month for only 15 minutes, but I can talk about whatever I want to talk about. And so I go in and talk a lot about Amory history, but also a lot of just about Polk County history. And sometimes I've gone in and talked about one of the pioneers. Sometimes I brought an artifact from the museum.
What about that?
That watch fob. I have a watch fob that I donated to the museum that was my grandfather's. It was made of human hair. It was made by his mother, and that was a folk art that came to the Midwest from Sweden. And you can actually, like, if you go up to Ely and places like that to their folk school, you can learn how to do this. But I brought in the watch fob, and I know. I brought in
how to do that.
I wouldn't have the patience for it. Imagine macrame, because that's exactly what it is, with fine human hair. And so I will bring in an artifact like that, and I can talk about the artifact, I can talk about the folk art, I can talk about the Swedish immigrants who brought it over here, whatever. And sometimes I just plug our events, like our golf tournament.
And a lot of times, the subject matter, we don't have a schedule of what we're gonna talk about. It's like, what's happened this last week or a couple weeks that might be of interest on the radio to people. Or a specific artifact that came in.
I belong to the Amory Community Center, and I hear from people there all the time, I heard you on the radio. And then they start, well, how did you get involved with the Historical Society? And so there's a lot of good conversation that comes from that.
Do you get volunteers that way?
Well, we hope to at some point. It's a wish you one.
You know, I do tell them we're looking for somebody who has an interest in the following. You know, I think more than anything, it just gets people in our door, which is a big deal as it is. Because I echo what I've heard you all say, that, you know, people think, you know, I was there once, been there, done that. I don't need to go back for 5 years. And we want to have reasons to keep them coming back.
Yeah, I was gonna bring copies of our newsletter this month and I can send that out, but, in the newsletter, we're gonna feature one of those early pioneers every month. And then we have photographs of what's new at the museum in it, so, just, yeah, but I can attach it to the minutes and stuff, if you're interested.
The radio appearances are extremely informal. I go the night before and I go, oh shoot, tomorrow what do I talk about? And, you know, just pick, you know, one of those categories, an artifact, pioneer, whatever.
Yeah.
So,
Stalking us.
Being stalked.
He's peeking in the window.
Yeah, Louis also, he's a resident.
Was that Lewis?
He just wonders what's going on.
okay. Later from all the naval ships with their logo on
How
it.
many do we have? How do you put them together?
Oh, I don't know, there must be
60?
40, 50 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Because
worked-
every sailor on the ship was given cigarettes and a lighter with the ship's logo.
Yeah, so.
He worked at a shipyard out in San Diego or Long Beach.
And the Philippines.
Yeah, and
What's that?
he would collect these lighters from the sailors. They're all Zippo lighters. So it's quite a collection. It's pretty cool.
So we've got that with our uniforms and all of our other stuff. So, anyway, that's it for England.
That's kind of my passion, is getting that military up there.
Anything else from Amory?
Should we do Frederic?
Well, I was gonna say Russ, we wanna go over to the west side of the county now, so we'll go over to
Okay, well,
Russ.
I don't know if I don't think I want to film myself doing this, so.
You have to.
Rather than spend a long time telling you, I just got a handout for everybody.
Perfect.
We can pass some of those around that summarizes what we've done in the so far this year. I guess I've got enough of it over here. And so I'm not actually going to read through it. I also brought newsletters, our last two newsletters. Our emphasis this summer has been we're Sterling, Eureka, and Laketown Historical Society, and Laketown is 150 years old, and they're bound and determined not to celebrate it as a township. So our History Society is pushing on them. So one of the articles is on the Laketown Lutheran Church. It's a sort of a Norwegian church. And the reason why I did one on that is because they had, the church has 3 scrapbooks in their church hall. It's an old schoolhouse that was moved in. And as part of our obsolete media lab, we're trying to digitize people's records, and churches like the Atlas Methodist and the Laketown Lutheran and all of these are down to like 10 to 15 members, and so they're in danger of closing. And so my theory is get their records, copy them, because right now, like at the Laketown, we're going to do copying the rest of their church records besides their scrapbooks. I'll pass these around. These are scrapbook 1, first 100 years, then the next some, and these were 3-ring binders in plastic pages that they'd put together for their thing. And so I had volunteers from the church just take the page out with still in the plastic and then scan it right on the flatbed scanner, and then we put them together and printed them on Amazon. And these are in color, so that one cost them like $28 and they're selling it for $35. This one's smaller, the second one, and that's like I think it's $18 and they're selling it for $25. And the third one we're working on. But so the project, the projects that we're doing, my interest, of course we run a museum, we're open, we have visitors, we have half a dozen events during the summer, including the big one, the Ramble coming up. But I'm interested in the digitizing stuff and copying old records. So I'm working on working my way through churches right now. We did townships and copied their records, at least 2 of them, Sterling and Laketown. But so anyway, that's part of the effort. I like the idea that you can take, we didn't need to make these into books. We could have just scanned them and saved them and put them on a CD or a flash drive or someplace for people. But I told them, I said, well, would you like to have some copies? And they said, well, you know, the market is maybe 20 for these. And I said, it doesn't matter, because Amazon, you buy however many you want. And so they just ordered 5 more of each after the first 20 sold. So maybe it's a 25 book market. But and then they get the money, they charge a little extra and they get the profit, because it's sort of scary looking at local institutions that are closing. And at the Laketown Lutheran, as the example, I said, okay, I want to come in now with my equipment and copy your record books. So some are in a safe, some are at this person's house, and some are at that person's house. And so they're bringing them together, maybe once and maybe for the last time, where we can maybe copy them. And then,
That's
and
a
then
great idea.
printing the stuff is just sort of a afterthought. I said, well, you know, we can print these too if you want to. And so, and we're working on the third one, I say right now. And the third one will include the original records in that church were written in Swedish. It's a Norwegian church, but they wrote records in Swedish anyway. And so the first one I scanned was the minutes from the minister. And so you put scan it. It's in Swedish, handwritten. It's pretty legible. So then you take that page, I just was showing them what I could do with it. Took the double page, we use this camera that's on the stand with the foot pedal. Anyway, we took the first page and gave it to artificial intelligence program ChatGPT and said, what is on this, tell us about this page. It comes from this church at probably this age, 1870s, starting with. And so it read it in Swedish, converted it to modern English, explained what was on that page, said, would you like a real translation or just a summary of it? And so we're going to start including that in the third book, because the real first record of that church is them arguing about what size the log church should be built. And there's some contention, and the minister mentions that. And I was showing that to one of the board members, who said, oh, the board meetings are just like that now, too. so anyway,
that's cool.
Yeah, that's, I don't want to say anything more. You can read the stuff about what we're doing now. I can go further.
Well, the one thing we found in Frederic to get people to come in is just having we try to have at least one special event a month, if not more. And we've been lucky over the years. Back in 2001, we managed to host the final public appearance of Casey Jones. If you look at the slideshow we've got going on here, you'll see a couple of the pictures. And if you go on, there's a website called Lunch with Casey. If you Google that, you'll get through the whole thing, and there's pictures of him at the depot in Frederic. And Roger Awesome was his real name. He passed away about a year later after he was here. So we kind of have that as our legacy. We had the last public appearance of Casey Jones in Frederic. But the other thing we've been lucky enough to have is we have a Vietnam vet in town who's built 3 quarter scale models of military combat helicopters. And he's working on the 4th one, so every time he does one, we have a special event on Saturday down here, and you get all the earned media of having the media releases involved in that. So we found that's been the real trick, is just to have special events. Last weekend we had featured 2 local artists from the area who are both gone, but they had were real prolific painters. One was a friend of Frederic Remington and has one of his paintings here out in Remington's museum out in Montana or wherever it is. But then the other thing, we've been working a little bit with Sarah Beth from the Intercounty Leader, and we'll come up with just strange and unusual things that have been dropped off and run them kind of as, and maybe you want to just talk for a couple minutes about what you do with stuff like that.
Yeah, so we have a segment in our nonprofit, which is our paper that we develop for children. We recognize that children were not doing well with their reading scores, and so Rich came up with an initiative to develop a children's paper to encourage children to want to read, and of course hopefully a new wave of readership. And William has been faithful in helping me with coming up with interesting subjects for a portion that I write called What Am I? And so sometimes I come to this museum, sometimes I go to the Luck Museum. I've been to the Grantsburg Museum also several times for inspiration. But different objects like this corn hanging device that William was showing, but and we've done carriage heaters, fire grenades, and many other interesting items. I think I've also done a few items from the Atlas Co-op, where we still get feed for our animals. But it's basically, maybe like an item that could still be in use today, but may not be as well known, like say a grain chute or something like that for maybe, city kids, I don't know. But it's been really fun, and it's been fun to learn different things and even talk about maybe some of the history or the businesses that still make some of the components of things that are still going on. So
how often do you put those out?
We put them out once a month.
Okay.
So copies are available at the office, but we distribute them for free to area schools too. So.
And you can drop over at the office over here and pick up one as a sample. I'm taking one up to our writers group Friday because we're thinking about doing a donation for that paper itself, because they have donors to sponsor it.
We have a spear hook.
A spear hook?
A spear hook.
Interesting.
Might be.
Yeah, I've done a lot of different interesting things. So like washing boards. Goodness.
Did you do the hair curler in there?
I think I may have. It's on my list if I haven't done it yet. So a lot of times when there's events or when I'm covering things at the libraries, I'll kind of sneak into different things and I'll just take lots of pictures for ideas, and then I have a folder that I keep of, things that I can just kind of pick from, or occasionally I'll be like, hey William, do you have something good for me because I'm out of ideas right now, and he'll send me things. And I've taken stuff from the Fred Schoolhouse and all kinds of different things, the hectograph. So it's really just a fun way to explore things and maybe help spark some curiosity in children that there are so many things, and especially with our local history too. We do hope to be syndicated eventually, so we try not to be super hyper local, and that it's not just Frederic or Luck or Grantsburg history, for instance. But I think that we've had some very interesting items. So yeah.
Yeah, no, just another good venture. You may have noticed you mentioned a fire grenade. If you're not familiar with that, we have one hanging on the wall back there. The company is from Littleton, Colorado, and they still make fire suppression products, but not necessarily the fire grenade.
Yeah,
so,
which interestingly enough, I grew up there, so that was even funnier when he suggested that. So.
Did you ever get a tour of the Littleton
I
factory?
did. I never even knew it existed until you showed me that. So.
Well, that kind of gets us through most of the rounds of that. We have the so-called lightning round left. I think we've kind of covered a little bit of that, but if we want to go, I think Russ had something he wanted to add, but if a quick little 5-minute or less
you're on it.
presentation.
Okay, what those of you who have volunteered at the county fair may have seen that in the schoolhouse we have these feathers like this. These are fresh turkey feathers shed within the last week. Willingly, I should say. No turkeys are harmed in this presentation. So
They
I'm gonna have you
voluntarily donated the
take
feathers.
take one and pass it on, because this is you aren't actually going to have to use it, but you can take it home and try it. All right?
I lost mine. I'll get it.
So, I need one here. I need one as an example. All right, at the schoolhouse, we just take feathers like this, and we take in the school desk and a little cup, and we fill it with paint, colored, the cheap paint at Walmart. The kind that won't come off kids' hands if it gets on them. But anyway, and so then we give them a blank sheet of paper and a whole bunch of different color choices they can pick up at the front table, and then they go back and to their desk, and then they draw. And by the end of the week, those of you who've been there, we have the whole walls plastered with taped up artwork that people have done. And the reason that they enjoy it so much is they've never tried writing with a feather. We tell them we tell them it's a quill, but it's not a quill because it hasn't been shaped into a quill. So if you were to want to make your feather into a quill,
Oh, yeah, we got directions.
why, of course. This is from an 1825 book, the instructions on trimming your nib.
Don't Google that.
So, let's see.
It'll be flat, right?
There's some more. I don't know if there's probably enough there. Huh?
Oh, cute.
So what you really do is you take it really, well, I'll give you the official 1825 instructions. You take and this is a turkey feather, which is pretty good. You soak it overnight in water if you're going to make one of these, so it gets a little bit softened. Then you kind of scrape it down a little bit if there's anything that's rough on it. And then you take a really sharp knife, like a pen knife. You've heard of that? Mm-hmm. Well, that's what it's for. Okay, or a razor blade or a scalpel. If you're a medical person like me, you take a scalpel. And then you trim it, and you look at the types of, there are all sorts of different, like calligraphy pens. You can trim this. And the advantage of having a pen that's open on the end, a quill, is when you dip it in the ink, which you make, by the way, with alcohol and scraping the chimney on your kerosene lamp that you've turned too high. Anyway, it sucks up ink into their capillary action, so there's ink in there, so when you come down on the paper, you can write a while. If you just dipped it in like this, you'd write a letter and then you have to do it again. That's what happens at the thing. But if you turn this into a quill pen, and these were like 1,000 years they've been out, people have been using these things for writing until probably, I suppose maybe 200 years ago. This book, 1825, was still pretty big. There was this. I'm using the Lewis method for cutting a nib, but if you were a baby boomer like me, you probably got into grade school. They taught around 4th grade using ink and a stick pen. Like my older brother, who's just turning 81, learned on that in 4th grade. So you learn ink blotters and and writing with a pen. When I came along with the baby boomers, they realized that something needed to be better, and so they told us, my teacher told me, oh, this is the first year you're going to go buy a new fangled invention called the ballpoint pen, and you will never have to use the ink pen. Although some of us bought fountain pens or cartridge pens later, just because we like trying writing. But so anyway, you can take these home, no charge, and try to make them. They harden them after you soften them in water and scrape them and then cut them the way you want to. Of course, you can recut them as you wear them down. Then, if they've been softened, you heat up some sand really hot and you stick them in there, and that sort of tempers them. Sometimes they actually burn them a little bit to get them a little bit harder, but I got a link on the top for the 1825 book if you're really interested. And this is the time of the year under your bird feeders and that to find turkey feathers.
Yeah, that's right.
Goose feathers were also quite popular, turkey and goose feathers, but so that's it.
And then technology, the next step was the slide rule, right?
Yeah.
Thomas Jefferson actually bred a specific goose because their
For the-
quill feathers were the best.
Yeah, well, if you read in there, there was a the instructions say take the longest feather off of there, and a lot of you can still buy quills, by the way. Normally they have the feathers taken off, they're shortened, and they're for people like that do calligraphy or something like that. But it is kind of fun because
so cool.
you could do it all yourself, and so when you went to school in the old days, well, mostly they used chalk and a slate, but you could not have to pay anything to have your. You'd have to get some ink is all. But,
This is cool.
okay.
Sound like they need
Any
there.
other lightning rounds?
I just wanted to talk a little bit about AI. I've been dabbling in it for the last probably 6 months, and right now I'm actually taking a class on it. And this morning, my lesson was on DeepSeek, which is a free AI tool, and I guess I really liked it because it is so what do I say? It's the quality that you could do research papers with. It's really in I don't know what the wording is that I want to use, but anyway, it really analyzes things and is very precise about it. I was asking it about changing the name of our museum, and I gave it all the parameters I told it a lot about our museum and reasons to change, reasons not to change, and it came up with the most comprehensive, thoughtful document that I could have possibly imagined. I mean, I've used other GP chat and some of the other ones, but this one I really was impressed with, and I could see where it could help lots of museums with, like, who was it said that they're redoing their bylaws, was it you guys? You know, something like that, or I mean, there's just all kinds of things that it would be, think of things that you might not think of, and does all this research on it. It's just, I guess I would encourage you, it's not scary at all, and I would encourage you to do it. My problem was that I have it on my phone, and so when I wanted to save that document, I couldn't find a way to send it to myself.
Just download it.
We at Amory are going to pilot, mostly Diana and I. I've done research on free online webinars relating mostly to genealogy, but some of them are historical. And what we're going to try doing is we'll broadcast those on our big screen. Invite people in to watch it with us, and then have a roundtable discussion afterwards.
Yeah, AI is next.
Actually, Frederic Community Ed has a intro to AI coming up in October.
Oh, does it?
Well, the one
October
we're gonna do on September 18th is for using AI
In genealogy.
in genealogy, yeah.
We just had a talk on that at the Polk County Genealogy Society last month at the Luck Museum.
Okay.
It's on YouTube on some channel out there. I put it on. But if you're interested in trying artificial intelligence, sit down at your computer in a browser and type in the simplest one's probably ChatGPT, ChatGPT.com, and it'll pop up a screen asking you, you should probably log in or create an account, but you can ignore that and you can use the free part, just go on and start using it and then ask it anything at all and see what happens.
It's not
fascinating.
always accurate.
No,
And,
but
and
it's a,
GPT chat is the one I've used the most until
yeah,
now.
it's very
But I was
conversational and
much more impressed with
with DeepSeek. Yeah.
DeepSeek. Yeah.
I was asking it to help me outline a talk that I'm doing next Tuesday at the County Museum, because this person that I'm doing is well represented on the internet through our own websites, you see, because I put a whole bunch of stuff out on him over the years on Facebook and that, and so it went out and found all that stuff and gave me an outline of how I should start off with a couple of humorous stories about him and suggested which ones, and then on to the rest of it. So I'm working on right now trying to get the ChatGPT to do the actual audio for me, so I just can come there and start it up. And you could actually have it do that.
And a holographic projection of Russ Hansen.
Well, you can ask it to draw pictures. If you're using the free one, pretty soon it'll say, well, you're used up your stuff for today.
Come back tomorrow.
So I pay like $20 a month to be to supplement my own intelligence with artificial intelligence. I find it fascinating.
Other lightning round things.
Just real quick, and it just came in my head, we're working on getting the Amory minutes from the Amory city of Amory back to what, 1897?
Something like 1897, it's the city records. This
Yeah.
is
But we also got this book, it's about this thick, from the, who was he do the arrests and stuff, not a police officer, what were they called?
Sheriff?
constables.
Huh?
Citation?
Well, it's all the criminal records and stuff in, in Amory at that time, justice of the peace. Yeah, so.
Why do I not know about this?
Oh, okay, because I wanted to see it first. I wanted to look for my relatives and blot them out. Nice sitting on the front.
So if you're interested in scanning those, and they're not high resolution pictures, they're just text in a book, then the stuff that several of us use is it's a CZUR camera on a stand with a foot pedal, and you just turn the page and push the pedal and turn the page. Well, we've got a portable, we've got a extra one that we loan out. We have one at the Luck Museum for the Genealogy Society, one at the Cushing Museum. They installed one up at Fort, and there's also one in Bruce, all because I said, well, it's really easy to use.
It is easy.
And it's good enough for things like text records, because you can, it's only 300 dots per inch, but that's pretty good. And it's so fast that you can go through, and then when I showed the Burnett County group, we took a typewritten newspaper article excerpts from the 1920s and a scrapbook that was actually typed out, so it's quite easy to read. And we just went through it and snapped the pictures of each double page, I think. And then we moved it directly up to the Google Cloud Drive, and instantly you could search for any name in it or anything without having done a thing to do that.
You're going to sit next to me, Russ, and show me.
Yeah, well, if you want to try it, I've got a portable one in a box. It has a computer, and I use it when I go around to, like, I'm going to go up to the Lake Town Lutheran Church and open their safe and take out their records and copy them. But yeah, it's a good thing to try. It makes it some things. It's good for some things, for low resolution.
Does anybody have anything on the review of today's meeting? That was one of the agendas.
Lots of good information.
Anybody have a date that we would be meeting in 4 months in your?
Last couple of years, we met just about on my birthday, December 10th, in someplace that was sort of central to the
It was
area.
Amory. We met in Amory.
Did we?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well,
And I
welcome
think
to
we
come
met
back
in
again.
Pioneer Village,
Mhm.
or whatever it's called
Mhm.
now.
Well,
Before
but
too.
it might be called, yeah.
I kind of think that we're off on way on the edge here, so the Bruce folks and those don't come. And so if we had it back in the center, maybe in December, I don't know.
Are we, like, I know we meet in September, but should it be October? Are we doing every
3 months?
Every
or-
3 months, okay, so it would be December.
Yeah. Well, I always remember
So the
because
9th would be.
I have to give up my birthday a lot of times just to come to the.
We'll make you a cake.
Not this year, because you said the 10th, right?
10th, yes.
It's the 9th this year.
Oh, okay, the 9th.
Well, Amory's happy to do it.
Didn't you recently did it?
Last
right?
year.
Yeah, so,
Mhm.
uh,
December of last
What
year.
who else is
Balsam
central?
Lake? We haven't
Oh,
done
Balsam
it
Lake,
there
yeah.
in a
Mm.
long
Yeah,
time.
Brenna isn't here, I'm sure she'd love to do it, right?
We have done it there, but it's been a long time.
Yeah.
That is still a long ways for the folks from Birchwood and Bruce and that too, so,
Yeah. So
sometimes
is
it's-
Amory.
yeah, and so I was thinking, I like Barron just because it's out in the middle of nowhere. So all there, yes.
Another thing to keep in mind though is if we end up doing the mini conference again and do it there.
Oh, you're gonna do it at Barron.
Well, we don't have to do it there,
No, that's
but it last
Okay,
year
Okay,
you guys
so
wanted.
we
it,
already
so-
got that volunteered, that they're gonna do the mini
I
conference.
didn't say that, I'm just
Yeah,
saying if
okay.
you do wanna do it there, you're not gonna wanna come there twice in a row.
Well, who else is over in that neighborhood over there? We don't get Chautauqua anymore, or we don't get
No.
some of those down there.
I know, I think 'cause it's so far, Ladysmith.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking maybe out in the middle, so all of us have to suffer.
I mean, you can do it in Cameron if you want, we're always willing, but I'm just saying, there's that.
And we'll be pretty much decorated for Christmas, because we have
Yeah.
Christmas in the village that weekend.
So what do you think, Barron, for next time? Anybody got a
Yeah,
problem?
hearing no objection to Barron, I guess.
Yeah,
When is a mini conference?
It's usually in like April?
Mhm. Or June, April or June.
I think,
No, it's
I
not
think there's
April.
April maybe.
It probably should be March, but because of weather, it's always kind
Yeah.
of landed in April.
So when's the December meeting gonna be at? Where?
The 9th?
The 9th is the
Ninth
second.
ninth of
yeah.
December in
Do we have
Pioneerville.
a chili feed?
Yeah, we can have a chili feed.
Well, if we're in
Is that our,
agreement.
that's our Tuesday, that's our folk school
No,
day.
folk school is the 2nd and the 16th. of December.
You're right.
So the
We're in
ninth
the
should be
middle
the-
of
Okay.
Christmas at the fort, I don't know if we'd be able to go.
On the 9th?
Yeah. Somebody might be able to.
So, what, in the middle of it, how long?
It's 2 weekends,
2
and
weekends.
it's busy.
So that's our busiest
Yeah.
one and two, but I don't care.
But Maya might be able to go, she doesn't usually work at it.
Yeah, it could be that we could carpool or something, like meet at Lock or something, and then not everybody have to drive.
So we're talking Barron for that one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Pioneer Village?
so from here to Barron, that's probably about 50 miles.
Yeah, it took us, it's a 50 miles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an hour, yeah, at least.
So do you have a charger over there for EVs?
Actually, we've had people plug in there, so yeah,
Uh,
'cause that's what they get is about 50 miles.
No, I bought an old Nissan Leaf that gets 70 miles, so I can't go any further than that.
Yeah,
One way I
you're
was stuck.
pushing it.
Well, I'm not riding with you.
Yeah, well, it'd be even
Wow.
less because you're running the heater in the winter.
Yeah, I have other cars too.
So are we putting this on the calendar? Is it official?
Yes,
December
yeah,
9th.
sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hearing no argument, we'll consider that the location.
Okay.
So other than that, that would about
And
wrap
the
it up
time
for
is
today. Thanks
10
everybody
until
for coming.
10.
Jimmy's
And then-
Restaurant is open. It's 1 block that way, but you have to take a little detour around to get to it. I don't think this crosswalk out there is open. But 1 block down, across the 4-way and back up 1 block
So
north.
what's the name of it?
Jimmy's Drive-In and the end. Jimmy's
Jimmy's?
Drive-In.
Oh,
and
that's the
Drive-In.
drive-in.
But it is a restaurant also.
It's the old Dairy.
Oh, is
It's
that
the old
open
Dairy
now?
Queen.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
they're,
open now.
she's been opening at noon.
Oh, okay.
So-
Tin Shed is closed.
Tin Shed's
It
closed
is.
for a month or something.
Okay, we got 3 minutes yet that we can waste before we.
Yeah, so if somebody wants to see the caboose, I can open that up. Or if you just wanna walk around the museum for a little while and check out the fire grenade and all that
So-
kind of stuff, but thanks again for,
Yeah, I think we should thank, Frederic for hosting us.
by unanimous consent, we'll consider ourselves adjourned.
Who has the sign-in roster?
Yeah, I need to put
Right,
my
somewhere
email
up
on.
here, I think it
So-
was.
So is that the, where the lobby area was, and this is where the ticket?
Yeah,
is?
that was the waiting room for when it was a passenger train till 61 or 60, somewhere in there. This was the office they worked out of with the telegraph.
And then
in
the
office.
luggage?
That was
or
just
freight?
cold storage and freight overnight. So when it was restored, it was sheetrocked and insulated and all that kind of stuff. It was just cold storage before.
Yeah,
And it was added on to, when it was built in 1901, it wasn't quite as long. That part of it wasn't quite as long. They added onto it in, I think, 1918 or something like that. And you can tell because the sheeting boards on the roof, on the original part, are 1 by 12 pine. 10, 15 years later, all of a sudden they're down to 1 by 6. So that's how fast that big lumber disappeared from the area. So.
It's not raining then.
We need hard to.
And if you didn't sign the guest book when you
Yep.
came in, please catch our guest
Yep.
book on the way out.